Your rocket blows up not even halfway into its flight, and you celebrate as if it's a success. But what's so great about this? Well, Elon Musk says that failure is an option here, and that if you're not failing, then you're not innovating enough. And in Silicon Valley, they say that you should fail fast and fail often, but they also make sure to say that, failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of success. Coming up, you can launch your piano into space, that you're more likely to get the jobs and the grades if you're confident. And when they do, can you imagine what the party will be like? This failure in 2021 alone generated 1.8 billion in revenue, where you'll find out who the real winners are. On April 20th, SpaceX launched the rocket which exploded when the rocket failed to separate, or an unscheduled disassembly, which in other words just mean it went boom. But instead of the team being upset and downbeat, the engineers were cheering during the explosion. And this just goes to show the culture of the organisation and the individuals that work within it. This was a huge success because the rocket had launched. And the failure, the explosion, is an opportunity for them to learn. But let's not sugarcoat failure. Too much of it does suck and it does hurt. But it is very much a part of life. Remember though, for the rocket to have been successful, thousands of things all had to go right, all at the same time. But for it to be unsuccessful, only one thing had to go wrong. This mistake takes them another step closer to Mars, and that's why they were cheering and so excited. 4 reasons failing sets you up for success. Number 1, it makes you smarter. If you learn from your mistakes, you've got the opportunity not only to reflect on what went wrong and how you can fix it as an individual, but also to think about what other options are out there to help you fix it. So let's say you're trying to play the piano, but you keep making the same mistake over and over and over. And sure, frustration is going to creep in, isn't it? You're going to want to pick up that music book and just fling it out the window. And you're going to end up wanting to use your piano as nothing more than an expensive clothes rack. Or you've got the opportunity to embrace your failure and understand why you keep making the same mistake. Are you thinking too far ahead? Could you do with getting a tutor to help you master the basics? Can you be stubborn enough to do the same piece of music thousands of times until you get it right? Muscle memory after all. Another option is to break down the skill into small steps, and instead of trying to play the whole song from the off, you could break it down into 10 smaller pieces and master one after another until you've got the full 10. And then once you've done that, you can launch your piano into space. Number 2 is tough as nails. Now, everyone fails and it sucks for everyone. It's how you deal with failure that can set you apart. You can use it to build resilience and then you're on to a winner. Not only does it make you more capable of dealing with the setbacks, it allows you to tackle uncertainty with more confidence, and research has shown that you're more likely to get the jobs and the grades if you're confident. So maybe your venture's failed, but what you can do is you can see what went wrong and what went right, and how are you going to use the learning for your next attempt, or maybe even repurpose it into something different. The little blue pill is the evidence that sometimes your intended use isn't met, but the pot of gold can be even bigger at the end of the rainbow. The study found that sildenafil citrate, also known as Viagra, didn't significantly lower blood pressure in men with mild to moderate hypertension. However, it did find that Viagra was associated with a significant increase in the number of men who were able to achieve an erection. And did you know that this failure in 2021 alone generated 1.8 billion in revenue for Pfizer, which was about 10% of the company's total revenue? Now, that's a pretty good mistake, a pretty good failure to have, wouldn't you say? Number 3 is a growth mindset. And Prof. Carol Dweck talks about embracing failure as a key component in developing a growth mindset. Understanding that you can grow and develop your intelligence and abilities rather than being fixed and set in stone. Having a growth mindset can enable you to stay motivated and persistent in the face of challenges, and instead of being put off going for that promotion at work, a growth mindset means you're more likely to take it as an opportunity to prove yourself. The growth mindset means you're looking for opportunities to continuously develop, and it enables you to have what could be uncomfortable conversations, such as asking colleagues and managers for feedback on areas you could improve upon. Now, if you want to know more about developing a growth mindset, then check out the video that will be linked at the end of this one. Number 4 is new opportunities, and simply expect the unexpected. Sometimes failure means that we have to look outside of the box for solutions, and we know that sometimes you really don't want to be looking in that box. Isn't that right, Brad?
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
Now, sometimes not getting a job can be a blessing, as there's a chance that a better opportunity will open up after that failed interview. And what that failed interview has done is it's given you more experience and it's given you more practice so you can hone your skills. And at that next opportunity, that even better opportunity, you're more prepared and you can smash it out the park. And there's a baseball reference from an Englishman. That's pretty cringe.
This is awkward.
But I've got experience of this because we interviewed a young lady for a job that she really should have been getting. But unfortunately on the day she ballsed up the interview, to be honest. But what happened after that was a new job became available that was paid more money, that was more senior, and she was in a position to go for that. She went for that, she used her experience, she used her knowledge, and she smashed it. So facing failure can lead to increased creativity. It can force us into looking at new routes, new paths to succeed, and it can enable us to be more collaborative than we perhaps would have been otherwise. Consider this. Anything you do is going to have a margin of error, and not all will be like SpaceX, where one thing can lead to a complete and utter catastrophe. So in an innovative and forward-thinking environment, something going wrong shouldn't result in a bad mark against you. If you've worked hard and it's not worked, that's okay. You've successfully learned a way it doesn't work, like Edison said about the light bulb. While you'll hear people say you should celebrate your mistakes, and that can seem a little bit daft to a certain extent, what they really mean is we're not celebrating the mistake, we're celebrating the opportunity to learn. If you're focused on providing high value, there's always going to be the chance for failure because you're going to be pushing against barriers, you're going to be being innovative. And it is continuing to push on through these mistakes where you'll find out who the real winners are. You won't notice the losers because they're not going to be in the picture anymore. But why should you push on? Well, think about it this way. Tesla was saved by investors at the last hour on June 29, 2008. The company was on the verge of bankruptcy, but a group of investors led by Elon Musk saved Tesla and allowed it to continue operating. Not only that, it's been profitable ever since. And then you've got SpaceX. They were on the verge of going out of business after 3 failed launch attempts. They only had money for one final launch, and if it had failed, that would have been that. It didn't. They proved they could launch a rocket into orbit, and now SpaceX is one of the leading space companies in the world, and Elon has said that 4th launch was the most important day of his life. So you can see how embracing failure and building on it can lead to, in some cases, just massive success. If you can learn to harness failure for your own good, you can become the superhero of your story. So SpaceX cheered the explosion because they saw the success in the story. They saw the opportunity to learn, and they know that through failure they will reach Mars someday. Maybe it won't be tomorrow or the day after that, but eventually they will. And when they do, can you imagine what the party will be like?